What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of hopsgeeknews, your home for comic book news, movies, TV shows, and of course, we typically feature a beer of the week. We're going to get to the beer a little bit later because we have a great episode for you today. We are going to be talking the 1983 classic. I don't know about classic, but Jaws 3 starring, just a lot of people, coked out Dennis Quaid for starters. But like I said, we'll get to that because we have a guest. My friend and co-host for the Real Buffs pod that I do as well is Charlie. He's going to be coming on. You know him from our episodes of Jurassic Park. So before we get started, though, man, go ahead, like, subscribe, share, follow, all of that good stuff on social media. Do us a favor. We are close to 1,000 on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button, hit the notification so you know when we go live for things such as our Cantina Hour, which we have released this past week, talking about the Acolyte and 4th of July and action movies and things like that. And then this week we are going to be live one last time before we go to Europe, where we're going to get ready and do kind of a guide to a European Disney cruise / vacation, if you will. So man, that's the best way to do it. And then this shirt is from Roosevelt's. You know, I rep the brand all the time. They don't pay us, but maybe if I say it enough, they will. I'm with Lauren. I'm not drinking anything yet. So, Lauren, how's it going?
It's going good. I do have a beer, but I'm going to wait to talk about it when we have Charlie on. And I do not have any Roosevelt's, but I do have a Jaws shirt on.
Ooh.
That I got on Amazon.
You know, Roosevelt's has a Jaws collection. I don't know why I haven't gotten in on that yet. I should.
Saw that actually. I hadn't seen it before, but they really do have everything. I just wish I feel like it's harder for girls to just order things online. Like I'm more likely to order something from Hot Topic because I can have it shipped to the store and I don't have to pay for shipping and I can try it on and I can return it right there if it doesn't fit.
Whereas you like their performance hoodies, actually, I think. Those would be great.
I probably would. And I have this super new cool hoodie that, because we're recording Deadpool tonight too, that I got. So you're going to have to peep that fit a little more later.
We are definitely stacking episodes because we are going to be gone the next couple of weeks to Spain.
So this might be our last news for a while.
This is going to be our last news. So basically how we start things out, we like to go on what we're drinking, what we've been messing up on. If anybody calls us out, please let us know. That's where we find out what we mess up on. We go into what we've been reading or watching. Then we dive into some news before our main topic. This is going to be the last news reading, watching segment that we kind of have for a couple weeks because Lauren won't be back till like the first week of August. I'll be back like the last week of July, but then I might be heading out again for a weekend. So we've pre-recorded a bunch of episodes such as Deadpool. That's in the pipe where we talk about Deadpool. We talk about, all of Hugh Jackman's Wolverine appearances in the Fox universe as Wolverine, if you will, here. And then we also did a comic book origin story on Patch. We got, I think a bunch of creator episodes. Matthew Ehrman, he did Loving Ohio. Supernatural. We also just talked to Travis Gibb about Granite State Punk. So dudes, there is so much coming down the pipe, but don't let me bore you anymore. Let's go into what we've been reading or watching. I have been watching The Acolyte and The Boys. I haven't watched any new movies lately. I really wanted to see A Quiet Place Day 1. Haven't been in the movie theater in like a long time. It's kind of sad. But I have read a couple comics from Marvel. I did Werewolf by Night Blood Hunt issue number 1 with Jason Lowe, Adam Gorham, Alex Sinclair, Joe Sabino. And this is another edition, one shot into the Werewolf by Night, the Blood Hunt saga that is going on with Marvel right now. It's a huge thing. Definitely recommend checking that stuff out. It's got Jake Gomez, who is a Native American version of Werewolf by Night, which I think is pretty cool. He goes to like an abandoned, basically it's an abandoned little amusement park to kind of like transform into the werewolf, let the wolf out, if you will, and let that tear down. Yeah, it's really cool, really awesome. And then, but the vampires show up and a demon gets out and it's just chaos and mayhem from that point forward. So I highly recommend that. I did read also the Captain America issue that we talked about from 1998 last night, where on Turn a Page, if you caught that on nerdinitiative.com, we talked about that, and that was pretty exciting, pretty good stuff. I have also read the latest Inquisitors, Star Wars Inquisitors issue number 1 from Marvel Comics is out, and that one basically takes us into the Grand Inquisitor is searching for a runaway Jedi who has kind of kickstarted this idea, if you will. They're trying to stomp out the Jedi post Order 66. Darth Vader wants them all gone and dead, as we all kind of know. And so this Grand Inquisitor is out there looking for them. They're planet hopping. It's very beautiful, very bright colored. Really enjoyed that because we get to spend some more time with the Inquisitor and see what they did. So that's kind of what I've been up to. Haven't really gotten to do too much. Been really busy between stacking the episodes for this and trying to figure out what the hell I'm going to pack, man. God, I don't
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, you guys are, I guess, different than the average cliche couple because, like, I usually have to pack for everybody. Obviously, Kaylee can pack herself. But, like, on the last cruise we went on when it got to formal night, Josh goes, "Oh, what am I wearing tonight?" I'm like, "I don't know. I told you to pack yourself for formal night. He goes, well, I have nothing tonight.
Well, I
And
don't
had
even have like
an outfit for every other night for him.
I don't have formal night. I don't have pyre night. The kids do. I'm not dressing for, dude. I'm in a Roosevelt's every day that I'm on this vacation. Seriously, and I don't care.
I ordered Logan a Wolverine costume for formal night.
So I'm not going on vacation to dress formal. I'm sorry.
No, Josh isn't bringing a suit or a tuck. But Logan's little girlfriend is dressing as Belle, so we were trying to convince him to dress as Beast, and he wouldn't do it, but he said he would dress as Wolverine. So we're going to have a crossover Beauty and the Beast.
That's cool because Harper's bringing a Snow White dress, her Belle dress. She's bringing a couple of her dresses too because she wants to wear them to dinner. So she's going to be dressing like princesses to dinner.
Going on formal night. Yeah. So it'll be super duper cute. Okay. So what have I been reading or watching? So there hasn't been a new episode of The Boys. So we did all that in the last Cantina hour. Tomorrow's is a new episode for us, as tomorrow is 4th of July. I can't think of a better way to celebrate the 4th on The Boys than to bring Soldier Boy out of resting and have him save the day and save the country. He's all about America. He's not a fucking commie. He farts the Star Spangled Banner. He bleeds red, but not commie red.
I don't think you're going to get it yet.
I don't think we are either. I don't think I'm ever gonna get it.
I think you will in the finale, but I think that's about it.
A girl can dream. Okay. I have been watching House of the Dragon. The Acolyte, we'll do our feelings on Canteen Hour tonight. Haven't been loving that. House of the Dragon is just like watching a car wreck happen. You know it's not going to end well, and it's just like one thing after another. Trauma. It is a lot of trauma, and the two girls are they're so young, and they're forced to have babies so young, and they're forced to grow up so young, and to make all these sacrifices, and it's so interesting too, because you see like the two kids that are brother and sister were forced to get married and have kids. Like, that is gross.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
it's all about the bloodlines, the Targaryen bloodlines and all that, but like, ugh.
But sometimes I sit there and I'm like, okay, they're cousins and they're step siblings
and they're watching
third cousins, and they're all over the place. So I am still watching that. I probably will to the end. The comic books I reviewed this week. So one of them was Life of Wolverine. I think they're pumping out more stuff for the movie.
Oh yeah.
So Life of Wolverine is literally just a summary of Wolverine's life, and it does a fantastic job from like when he was little and playing with Rose. All like, they don't go into Old Man Logan or anything like that, but like his like consistent timeline that we've seen. But they go over so many things, like when Itsu gets pregnant with Dakin, and like they go through all of that. And it's actually a spin-off of Life of Wolverine that came out a couple years ago. And Josh just brought me a chicken sandwich, sorry. And so it's Jean reading his mind because he's supposed to be fighting Omega Red. So he's going into these different variations to try to fight Omega Red. They don't talk about that at all in this comic, but that's what you see. And so she's going through his memories and she's seeing his past. So you even have like when Magneto pulls the adamantium out of him and all this stuff. So I don't want to spoil it too much. That is by writer Jim Zub. The artist is Ramon Box. Color artist is Hava Tartaglia. I feel like I shouldn't even try to say that. I probably butchered that. But if you're unfamiliar with Wolverine's comic origin, or you only know a little bit and you kind of just want to like know a little more to get, more comic background on him, but you don't want to like dive into a long series, this is a great little like one shot. It's really cool how they did it. They even like go into like the first appearance of Wolverine. So it's kind of fun to see the artwork be consistent through all these different stories.
Yeah.
And you even get to see like that first costume, but it's not the original picture from, the Incredible Hulk number 180. So that's kind of cool. The other Wolverine comic that I reviewed, I did two Wolverine comics this week, was Wolverine Deep Cut. So this one is another spinoff of Uncanny X-Men from Chris Claremont. Again, this is off of a spinoff from like a comic in the 80s. And it's Wolverine's birthday. So Sabretooth is going to show up and fuck shit up because he's really mean to him and he can't kill him. He's going to kill someone he loves. But, Wolvie's dating Mariko right now, who we saw in The Wolverine. And that's the love of his life. It's not Jean. It's not Itsu. It's Mariko. That is the love of his life. And so he thinks he's prepared to defend her. He has things set up, but of course something else happens. If you have enjoyed X-Men 97 this season, I highly recommend checking that comic book out. Again, That is by Chris Claremont and the artist is Edgar Salazar. So that is what I have read this week and watched.
Solid. Well, let's run into some news real quick. I've only got a couple things, starting with the Lego group has announced Jaws. There's a Jaws set coming out August 1st. It's going to be 1,400 pieces and it will be priced at 160 doll hairs. I need this. Going to need a lot bigger Lego shelf because this is not even half of what you see behind me. And then I had some Marvel Comics news where Joe Kelly is writing the 8 Deaths of Spider-Man, which will be a 10-issue story releasing this fall, right after Dan Slott wraps up his run. This is where Joe Kelly is going to be coming in. And then my last bit of news is Christopher Reeve's son, Will Reeve, will be appearing in the new Superman movie, where we've been getting a lot of stills lately. Getting really excited. We saw Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner, and we saw Hot Girl out there. We saw Mr. Terrific and all that kind of stuff. So that's just a little bit of news that I got this week. What do you have?
So Shark Week started last night on Discovery. If you haven't been watching that, if you don't want to sign up for another service, Disney Plus is actually doing a whole bunch of Shark Fest stuff. And Anthony Mackie looked like he even hosted one of the episodes.
Ooh, exciting.
So there's some good documentaries on there too. So Terminator Zero is a Netflix series coming out August 29th. Doctor Who will be back December 25th. Obviously, we speculated
Christmas special
name of the episode. So that will be August 25th of this year on BBC iPlayer and again Disney Plus. And Stephen Moffat did write that one.
Oh,
the rights to Dogma have returned. Thank you to Stacy for letting us know in the Discord. They will no longer belong to Harvey Weinstein.
Bless.
And so it should be accessible once again. Cobra Kai Part 1, July 18th, just a reminder. And Thunderbolts has wrapped filming.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped for Cobra Kai. Can't wait for that.
Well, I was going to say Thunderbolts. I'm really excited about Thunderbolts.
I'm excited about Thunderbolts.
And it's a ways away. But
next year, we got Thunderbolts, Cap, the new Captain America movie. We got Superman. A lot of good stuff coming out next year. But to get some even better stuff, man, we're going to go to SeaWorld right now, and we're going to go dive into the waters of the rubber shark and get into Jaws 3D. So we will see you in just a moment. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. As I said, we got my boy Charles McLeod, Charles Xavier, C-Mac. Oh, Chucky is back. He is my dude from Real Buffs. You might have seen us share some stuff. We talk about the movies that we all grew up and loved. Maybe I didn't love as much as he did in some of those if you've listened. So I'll let him talk a little bit about that. But my beer, man, before we dive into Jaws 3, is a beer from Ashburn, Virginia, from a place called Rhino Brewing. It's called My Imaginary Girlfriend, MIG. And the reason I chose this is because as I was doing research for Jaws 3, apparently Dennis Quaid talked about how he was on cocaine and doesn't even remember filming this movie. And so in this movie, he has a girlfriend the whole time, trying to convince her to go down to Venezuela. So I thought, what better beer to have than My Imaginary Girlfriend? Because now I just picture Dennis Quaid. This is all a big cocaine fever dream, especially the way he consistently dove into every body of water while wearing boots, shoes, pants, everything but a fucking bathing suit. But I digress. It is a nice, delicious Imperial IPA. And coming in at 7.3%. Lauren, what do you got over there? I know SeaWorld's not by the beach, but what do you got over there?
I haven't cracked it open yet. I'm still nursing because we're multiple recording tonight. But the one I have on deck is called Everybody Wants Some. It's a double IPA, and it is brewed with Citra hops. I don't even know what brewery this is. So, it says Everybody Wants a rotating single hop double IPA is the only acceptable response to the call of DLR era Van Halen plus 80s cult classic movies. Don't think this is an 80s cult classic movie. I think this is just a terrible movie from the 80s. But I had a couple shark beers, and I drank them on the boat rather than saving them. So that's what I had to go with. It says a giant teddy bear bigger than you. Sounds great. No, it really does sound good. But look, Beth, I gotta go. The Christmas tree is on fire. It is 8%, and it is to be drink fresh at 46 degrees Fahrenheit.
Dude, real quick, I know Charlie will appreciate this, but this beer, the brewery Rhino Brewing, is on Red Rum Drive in Ashburn.
Red Rum?
Yes, Red Rum Drive.
That's terrifying.
But
is it on what is it, room 237 or something like that?
It's actually
that's the room in The Shining, though. So
we're so close. It's on 21730 Red Rum Drive, Suite 142. Dang, we're so close to glory.
So this is Hoof-Hearted Brewing, which my daughter thinks is hilarious.
I didn't realize that there's a thing. This is really good. Those lonely nights in your basement are over. Meet your ideal gamer girl with My Imaginary Girlfriend, MIG for short. The Imperial IPA made just for you. One sip of this hop-forward ale will instantly transport you into a virtual paradise where you finally met your perfect player too. She's funny, supportive, and always down for one more game. Awash with notes of juicy, nectar-like papaya, she will be there to cheer you on through every adrenaline-inducing boss battle, such as rubber sharks. Say goodbye to those rando toxic teammates with the weird mic feedback, bringing down your rankings. Push that XP bar up to level 10 with My Imaginary Girlfriend, the virtual fantasy girlfriend who almost feels real. Yeah, that's perfect for what we're doing there. But Charlie, man, what's up, dude? Long time no see. What you got going on over there? What's happening? Why don't you tell the people a little about what we do over on Real Buffs as well?
Yeah, so Real Buffs is a podcast that Matt and I started relatively recently. back in November is like when we first started releasing episodes. Or actually, no, was it? It was October. It was because it was around the time that Halloween, The Exorcist, everything like that. Yeah, that was our first episode. So we started doing it then. We've been ruminating on it and planning it for years, and then we finally just got the time, Also, I just got motivation to actually like get the fucking thing off the road. So there we go. That was mainly it.
And I got Adderall.
No, just by like, wanting to actually do it. I was like, all right, like, let's just commit to doing this. Let's finally get it done. And we finally got it done. So really excited that we launched that. We're really humming now though. We've got, we're getting close to like 20 episodes now. Ish.
Yeah, it's not every week because we got lives, man. Charlie's on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast. We've got lives and all that stuff. So it's not every week. It's, I would say bi-weekly, but even then at a certain point, it's, we get a few episodes out a month, man. I'll give us that.
Usually at least 2 a month. Though I will say, Matt, we're on a pretty good track right now. We might actually do one a week for all of July. So fingers crossed. I know.
I don't know how I do it between the 75 episodes that Lauren and I have been doing for 4 years, and especially
and
the month
do
of
tap
July.
all the time too.
And
you're going on Metalcore Nerds.
And I'm going on another show, dude. I am a busy man, and this explains so much about why Carrie might be like, "Hey, dude, just chill it once in a while," but I don't know how. But
maybe Carrie needs to start a podcast with you.
We've actually talked about doing a podcast together where we reviewed like kids movies from a parent's perspective and just drink during it. Believe it or not. So
that's funny.
As soon as I can get her down to do it,
that needs to be your first one.
We have talked about. You know what? I got something in the pipe. But we're here to talk Jaws 3, man. We're talking Jaws 3, the 1983 classic Jaws 3, which is actually Jaws.
You're using that word loosely.
3D. I am very much using it loosely because, oh my gosh, I forgot so much of this movie. We were all texting each other separately, like, dude, what is this movie? It actually features a very young Dennis Quaid who plays a Mike Brody. It stars Leah Thompson in her very first film ever. So a quick summary is Jaws 3D titled... Oh, yeah. Jaws 3 in its 2D form, mind you, if it wasn't 3D. If you didn't see it in 3D, it's a 1983 American horror film directed by Joe Alves. The film follows the Brody children from the previous films to SeaWorld, a Florida marine park with underwater tunnels and lagoons.
I gotta explain it. A Florida marine park. Like, people don't know what SeaWorld is.
Well, there's one in San Antonio, Texas.
And I think
ask me how I know, because everybody who graduates Air Force Basic Training goes there.
I think there's
including yours truly.
Me and Charlie both did. Yes.
By the way, I forgot to say my beer. Speaking of Air Force,
yes, dude, your beer. What is your beer?
Juice Force IPA from Voodoo Ranger. So
dude, Voodoo Ranger is a good one.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's actually pretty sweet. It's 9.5%. So I've taken 2 sips and I'm probably hammered at this point.
We're wasted. The only way to get through this film.
Right. Unfortunately, I was sober when I watched this.
I was too, believe it or not.
And Josh fell asleep like 5 minutes in.
Really? Carrie was actually a trooper and watched this whole thing with me. And we had a really good time despite being like, what the fuck are we watching?
I don't know that Josh has ever made it through anything fully conscious. Even in the theater, he falls asleep. He will probably fall asleep. He got soup during when I was in labor with Brielle. But
poor Josh is narcoleptic. We had no idea. The signs were all there.
He will probably fall asleep in Deadpool and Wolverine. I will be surprised if he doesn't.
That would be funny. Anyways, the park prepares for opening. SeaWorld does. A young great white shark has infiltrated the park from the sea, seemingly attacking and killing the park's employees. Once the shark is captured, it becomes apparent that a second, much larger shark has also entered the park and was the real culprit. It was allegedly the younger shark's mother, even though great whites don't actually give 2 fucks about their offspring. In the end, people died. Many people were sad, and the shark explodes. We're safe. Oh, God, we'll get into that. The film stars Dennis Quaid as Mike Brody, Bess Armstrong as Catherine K. Morgan, Simon McCorkindale, if that's how you pronounce it, as Philip Fitzroyce, or Mr. Fitzroyce for you guys at home, Louis Gossett Jr. as Calvin Bouchard, John Putch as Sean Brody, Leah Thompson as Kelly Ann Bukowski, P.H. Moriarty as Jack Tate, and some others. Now,
Kelly Bukowski? That's what it sounded like.
Yeah, that's what I thought too when I read it. And by the way, it's not Philip. It's not Philip Fitzroyce. It's Governor, as the other guy calls him.
Yes, Miss
Governor.
Okay. Governor. I have a question for you guys. Now, those 2 guys clearly came in. Did they give you lover vibes?
Not until he was dying, but they could have been really good friends. The one guy was too old.
I mean,
the younger guy was I guess it's true, but the younger guy was attractive. And older guy was not.
I'm sorry. Can gay guys not be attractive to old, ugly men?
Yeah, he's a bear.
That's anyone.
What the hell, Lauren? Dude, you're so lucky Pride Month's over.
I was just going to say, though, did you guys, I mean, there is some subtext to that and there's some truth to that, because did you not see all the rainbow flags all over the place on the set too?
Actually, Carrie and I actually pointed this out. We're like, wow, rainbow flags.
Yeah.
And we were like, clearly that's not for Pride because it's the 80s. But it's like, do you remember a time when, like, this sounds, I completely understand, but it's not, because obviously, like, that's not how we are here. But you're right. Like, people didn't associate rainbows with that. But now the person sees a rainbow flag and they melt like the Wicked Witch from the West in Wizard of Oz because, oh God, a rainbow is going to kill me or whatever.
Some dad did a video complaining that they had more Pride stuff than they did Father's Day stuff. Well, guess what? They didn't have any Mother's Day stuff either.
All of
that. I'm okay with it.
Who cares?
The Pride stuff's always so cute too. So
we are.
Yeah, the Father's Day stuff's not cute.
But yeah, no, I got a couple observations before we dive into this. Was I definitely got that vibe, especially while he was dying. And then the other thing is, can we talk about the horror to stardom pipeline that we kind of see with these horror movies, with like Dennis Quaid was in Jaws 3. Vince Vaughn was in horror movies starting out. Jennifer Aniston was in Leprechaun.
That's another one. I need to start writing these down.
There's like this whole thing, especially Kevin Bacon was in Friday the 13th. Like, there's a lot of mega movie stars that got their start kind of in horror. Like, and Dennis Quaid is no exception.
Jamie Lee Curtis also starting in
Halloween. Yeah.
And actually, I'll have a nice little tie-in for you with a fun fact. So Dennis Quaid was supposed to play Linda's boyfriend, Bob, in Halloween, because he was actually married to the girl who played Linda in real life. I forget her name, though. It's going to drive me nuts. But yeah, he was married to her in real life, and he was supposed to be he was supposed to end up being like the boyfriend, but obviously I think there was some sort of scheduling conflict or something like that.
I didn't know he was married to her. I know, like, during this movie he was married to Meg Ryan, and then obviously they had like Jack Quaid, for example, who's in The Boys,
which is funny. I always think Jack Quaid just looks like Meg Ryan, but there were some scenes where like Dennis Quaid was laughing really big, and I was like,
his eyes,
I see Huey now. But also he had that like big goofy smile at one point. And I saw Huey in that.
Are we sure that they were married at this time, him and Meg Ryan? Because what I heard in my research is that him and Leah Thompson started dating after this movie, and they dated for like 5 years.
You know what?
I'm right on top of that, Rose.
So they you're right. Actually, Charlie's right, because Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan got married in February 14th, 1991, and they were actually married until July 16th, 2001. So they're married 10 years. So yeah, I think you're right.
Valentine's Day.
It was a doomed from the start. Good point. I knew they were married, but I thought they were married during this time. But you're right. Apparently, he was with Leah Thompson. So
how
Charlie,
old is Jack Quaid? Did they get married when she was pregnant? We're going down a weird route.
I don't know. Why don't you Jaws 3, Charlie? Kick us off, man. What are your first memories of Jaws 3? Because this isn't the first time you watched it. I heard your wedding vows.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, obviously. And there's a reason why you bring me back for the Jaws episodes. Like it's just it's just something that's a part of it.
Actually, this is the third year in a row. You were with Jaws 1, and then last year Jaws 2, and now we're Jaws 3. So guess what?
Next year we gotta go to Hawaii.
Jaws, they don't get good. Trust me, they don't get any better.
I don't know if I can do the revenge, guys. I might have something going on that week. But this, believe it or not, this was my first entry into the franchise. Was Jaws 3. My uncle had this on VHS, so we would watch it. That was sort of my first experience with it. And I really like it. Jaws never really scared me that much. Just because I'm like, okay, I was always afraid of sharks anyway. Like Jaws didn't make me more afraid of sharks. Like it was just one of those things. And I didn't think the movie was overly scary, but the 3D thing, like I didn't realize it until like, I think my uncle had said something about it and he's like, oh, it was in 3D. I'm like, well, why isn't it in 3D now? And I'm obviously a young kid watching it at home, not understanding.
No, it's not. You're like, you idiot. Yes, it is. Put these glasses on. I just have it laying around.
But I mean, I didn't get it in hindsight. I'm like, yeah, you idiot kid. Look at those shots. Like, I mean, you think any real self-respecting director is going to put shots like that in a movie? No, of course not.
Even the font was 3D.
Oh God, dude, it's so bad.
It's so funny. But yeah, that was my first experience with it, and I always kind of just had an affinity to this one, just out of pure nostalgia. I think I watched this in the second one before I watched the first one. I sort of went in reverse order, and then I watched The Revenge and never watched it again. So, yeah, so that's like my history with this. I've more of a history, I'd say, with a longer history, I guess, with this one than any other. But yeah, and I will say, like, I watch it and I'm like, okay, there are actually some positives to this. It's not all shit. It's mostly, but I mean, there are some like positives. And I actually see this movie as more unfilled potential than the other sequels, including number 2.
I don't disagree there. There really is some positives that we'll get to. Because I do want to get to some of that in a minute. But Lauren, was this your first time watching Jaws 3?
Oh God, no.
Oh,
I mean, as somebody who grew up in
don't say,
Florida,
oh God, no, like,
well, because I grew up in
don't
Florida,
watch
so to me,
any
this
movies.
took place at SeaWorld, though. But I mean, I love sharks. I've never, I was raised, I was raised by sharks.
You were raised by, I was about to say, are you Shark Boy?
But no, I mean, I grew up with, my grandfather was a commercial fisherman in the Keys. Like, I was snorkeling. I could swim before I could walk. So I was snorkeling at a very young age. My grandfather would pull me down and show me nurse sharks and stuff. But what's interesting is we always thought that there weren't great whites in Florida because the water was too warm. And they go into that from my very long
you didn't
ago
have
memory.
Ron DeSantis yet.
Well, in the 4th one, they talk about the waters are too warm for the great whites. But no, don't even get me started there. But he did just ban the intentional release of balloons. So I'm very happy about that. The fact that needed to be banned is absolutely fucking ridiculous. I don't see how it's different than littering. But whatever. So I remember my grandmother, because they were always scuba certified and everything. And my grandmother always claimed she saw a great white in the Keys like years ago. And my grandfather always made fun of her. And in recent years, shortly before he passed, I go, do you believe her now? Because we're having sightings of Catherine and they tagged Catherine and she's going all around Florida. And he kind of, like da-da-da-da. But I feel like a lot of these things did happen, but people didn't have phones and they didn't record it. So people just like blew it off like, oh, it was probably a bull shark. Oh, it was probably a reef shark. No, my mom claims we saw orcas going, I remember the day her being, oh, there's weird fins and they look like orcas, but they can't be. And it's like, no, orcas do migrate past Florida. But a lot of this stuff wasn't, we're still learning. And it was interesting too. Like, this was the world's worst marine biologist in this movie. But we've also learned, or not me personally, but other marine biologists have learned. You see it in Shark Week. They've learned so much new information and things they thought were true aren't true. But so for me, this movie, I remember watching it as a kid because I remember being like, I don't understand, how did the shark get into the lake at SeaWorld? I didn't understand. I couldn't wrap that around.
The gate was left open because Dennis Quaid's character is an idiot, obviously.
But there's no gate. It's not an ocean.
That's not how this works. I was gonna say it's not how any of this works. Like SeaWorld,
but I
is
didn't
not on the ocean.
Understand as a kid. I thought like, okay, I'm like, for one, SeaWorld is very far from the beach. It's very much so inland.
It is.
And then I noticed my husband and I almost felt like this was a movie we should have watched and commentated as we were watching. Cause like until Josh fell asleep, we were just nonstop talking. And I'm like, how are they watching the sunset? So not only are they on the beach next to SeaWorld, but they're on the West Coast because they're watching the sunset, which the West Coast is even further from SeaWorld than the East Coast. But as a kid, again, I didn't realize, like, I guess that there was a gate because I didn't understand because it was SeaWorld.
Yeah.
And then they put this freaking 10-foot shark into the tank where they feed the stingrays. Like, have you guys ever been to SeaWorld in Orlando? Or maybe even in San Antonio?
I've been in San Antonio, and I've been in San Antonio twice now. SeaWorld.
Did you feed the stingrays or go to the area with the stingrays where like you take the fish or whatever and you hold it on the bottom of the water and the stingrays come and they like suck it out of your hand? No, so that's how shallow that water is that the great white was in, that you can literally stick your hand to the bottom of it and the stingrays come and they take the stingers out of them, I believe. But that's how tiny that pool was that they had.
Rest in peace, Steve Irwin.
Shark in. Yeah. Well, so no, this wasn't my first time watching this.
I mean, it wasn't mine either. I don't remember the first time I watched this because I was a kid. Like, this movie, obviously I was growing up in the 90s. Like, these movies were always on, especially 4th of July weekend.
Yeah.
Because Jaws 1 was 4th of July. And, every 4th of July weekend, TNT used to have like the Jaws marathon and things like that. So I don't fully remember the first time I watched this, but it's been at least a decade since I've watched Jaws 3D until last night when I sat down and Carrie and I watched this, and whoo, lad. Yeah, there's a lot. So some of the notes that I have as far as like the production goes into is Roy Schneider actually made sure he had another movie contract so he couldn't come back for another Jaws movie. He's obviously the dad, Brody. he didn't even want to do 2, but he had to because of contractual obligations. Now, in an interview years later, Dennis Quaid referred to this movie as "I was in Jaws" because he was so coked out of his mind. He talks about how in the 80s he was just ripping lines, man. That's just Dennis Quaid ripping lines, which would
that's
explain.
What they did in the 80s, and he was in Florida. I mean,
he was probably hanging out with Carrie Fisher doing it all. You're right.
This came out the same year that Tony Montana was
Tony
Montana came to Miami.
I was just about to say, I'm like, this is Scarface, right? This is this is definitely the Scarface.
It is. Now, David Brown and Richard Zanuck, the producers for the first 2 films, originally pitched the second Jaws sequel as a spoof named Jaws 3, People Zero. Maddie Simmons, fresh off the success of National Lampoon's Animal House, was brought in as producer, with Brown and Zanuck taking on executive producer roles. Simmons outlined a story and commissioned National Lampoon's writer, John Hughes, and Todd Carroll for the script. Now, Joe Dante was briefly pursued as director. The project also was set to star Bo Derek, Richard Dreyfuss, and it was shut down as Steven Spielberg, who directed the first film, managed to convince Universal not to make the film, threatening that he would never work with the studio again. Now, moving on, Adam Landsberg actually bought the rights to the film. He attempted to involve experimental filmmaker Murray Lerner in Jaws 3, telling him that people at the marine land theme parks in Florida had seen his 1978 3D film Sea Dream. Lerner said that his heart sank when he was sent the first script of Jaws 3D, saying, "I can't really get involved in this," as the production had already had an art director. He didn't like the script, declined to be involved in the film. The film then was directed by Joe Alves. I mean, dodged a bullet there, right?
So even going back to Steven Spielberg, so part of like the reason why he didn't want to do this is partly because of his own experience on the movie 1941, which was like a war spoof movie. And that was like, it was considered a huge flop at the time. And I think it was like 1979 around then. So like, he was very protective of that, and like his image is so tied to Jaws, obviously, with the first one. So it was like he was like, yeah, like please don't ruin this franchise.
Jaws and like Halloween are considered kind of like the starter horror slasher films, if you will. So like Steven Spielberg went on to do a lot of really great stuff, obviously.
But I do think that we generally view Jaws as a standalone movie. I don't think any of us view it as a franchise.
I really don't.
And it's funny when you see it in Back to the Future too, that it's like Jaws 37 or something. But it's also very interesting, the pull that Steven Spielberg has, because I should look this up, and this is just, you know, word of mouth, and I can fact check this if anybody else is interested in it. E.T. is one of like the only original rides left at Universal, and apparently I've heard it's because Steven Spielberg was like, if you pull another one of my movie rides, I'm not going to do something or other. So he's like the reason that E.T. is still there. Which, thank goodness, because I'm still upset about Back to the Future.
Oh,
well, and Jaws is now Diagon Alley.
What about is there no Jurassic Park one though too?
No, there is. That's an island.
Park.
But it's also their new Velocicoaster is like probably the best roller coaster ever. It's brand new.
But they still have Jurassic Park. Some more production notes though was actually Universal forced the writers to include Brody's 2 sons. However, he thought that it was pretty dumb to include his sons. And they also,
I liked the phobia with the kid.
I thought that made sense. I did too. However, they actually originally wanted the same shark that was electrocuted in Jaws 2, to which Matheson really requested to write a role specifically for Mickey Rooney of all people, saying that when Mickey Rooney turned out to not be available, the whole part was actually pointless and the writer was unhappy with the finished film. When it all was said and done, it was just like just nonsense after nonsense after nonsense. There was he reported in interviews that the screenplay was revisited and revised by script doctors. He also says in June 2020 that approximately 20 minutes of footage was cut out from the final film. So he can probably join Zack Snyder to get the Matheson cut of Jaws 3
movie
pushed
would be
out.
better if we had the longer version. I can't even fathom that.
No, absolutely not. I literally could shave off like at least another 20 minutes from this.
How long was the movie? Like
it was 97 minutes. It was a 97
minute. I could shave off 97
film.
minutes of this.
And my last fun fact is that Dennis Quaid stated in a 2015 interview that of all his films, he made the most aggressive use of cocaine during the filming of Jaws 3D, and that he was so high on the drug in every frame that he appears.
I wish I did cocaine and did it before I watched this.
Yeah.
So when I was watching it, when they caught the one shark, all of a sudden I said to my husband, I'm like, oh, I think this is the one with the mom and the baby, because I had thought that was the Hawaii one.
No, that's next year.
But it makes no sense. Great whites do, and like the fact that the marine biologist is calling it the mother. I do wonder, did they think the great whites cared about their young in 1983, or was this just
it was the
movie
80s,
whatever?
man.
I think it's just them almost knowing that audiences are that stupid to believe that. So the other thing, though, like we could have just not had a movie at all. Just release the orcas out there, and they would have killed both sharks.
Honestly,
my husband and I said that too when they said the names, and my husband's like, "Oh, they're just going to release the orca. Done, movie over." And we're like, "No, those are the dolphins."
Well, it would have been more symbolic too. You have the orca, and the first one is the name of the boat. The whole point of the name of the boat is because of that. Yeah. So,
dude, that's all right. So we do a thing on Real Buffs where we talk about the Rick and Morty interdimensional time travel thing, where like, what is the version of the movie you want to see? And now Charlie just brought up, dude, I want to see that version of the movie where they're like, I want to see like the dolphins get eaten by the shark. And then Charlie's like, you know what? Or not Charlie, but like, they're like, all right, release the orcas. And they just come out like the T-Rexes fighting the great white and just like,
instead of release the Kraken,
release the orcas. Dude, let's
I'm Googling the largest great white shark ever.
Let's unpack this movie.
They said it was 35 feet long.
They did. While you do that,
15 to 16 for girls, which girls are bigger than the boys.
So that means what, 10 feet for the boys, I imagine. Okay, this shark did not look 35 feet. Can we talk about that to start?
The largest one ever was a shark named Randall in 1987, and he was almost 20 feet. So this is a 35-foot shark. I think y'all pushed it a little bit. Like, that's a megalodon.
Also, like, these sharks were aggressive, but for what reason exactly? You know, all right. Well,
because they stole its baby.
Before we get to the negatives, Charlie, I want to hear what you got to say about the positives of the film. Dive us into the positives.
Okay, some of the positives here. I actually do like some of the stuff. The opening credits aren't that bad. I actually like these opening credits better than the second one. They're fine until we get to that the 3D head just floating. All right, then
it floats so bad.
Anytime we get the 3D shots, I'm like, I'm out. Like that was good. Some of the sound design's not bad. I like when they go, because they're underwater, I think, in this film more than any other Jaws film.
Oh, they definitely
I do like when they go underwater and like you kind of like hear the muffled screams and stuff like that. It gives a creepy vibe. Like some of the sound design underwater like adds to the creepiness of it, and I do like that. I also will say Leah Thompson at 21 is pretty damn good looking. So yeah, I can see why Marty McFly. Never mind, I won't go there.
This is not a Greek tragedy.
Your mom, bro.
I know. I had to. I can't not do that. All right.
Come on.
But yeah, I do like some of that. I do like the scene too, where like the idea of the guy being in the shark's mouth and having the camera in there. I'm like, ooh, that's fucking scary and terrifying if they can pull it off. But it didn't really work that well. I thought like they had the opportunity. So where I see it's like, it's just a movie of like missed potential. Like it could have been so much better if there wasn't like studio interference to make it 3D and do all that. First off, the spoof would have been way better. All right. The spoof would have been hilarious. I would have been totally on board. But also I have another idea for a better version of this film. If they did it as a found footage documentary. Now we have that Fitzroyce guy, Governor, coming in there.
Here's where we retire. Oh, he did say we retire.
Yeah.
They're
going to retire to their cottage on northern United Kingdom.
So what if we made this like a whole found footage thing? And that would have been really like a great fresh way to take it, is instead of like making it like that and making a regular studio film. But this is big Hollywood, big budget. They weren't going to do something like that. But I remember just seeing him with the camera at one point. I'm like, that's where they missed it. If they did like some sort of found footage thing like Jaws and attached to the franchise somehow, like it would have been a really cool, different way to do it. And I would have thought it would have been amazing, but they didn't do that. So anyways, I digress. It should have been Blair Witch Project, but whatever.
Because like, what movie were they actually trying to make? Because they're like, oh, this is going to be the shot that lets us retire. And it's like, the shots that they were getting underwater were not anything special.
Maybe especially when there was one point where they were doing something, they're not even like focusing. They're just like all over.
That's what I'm saying. And then like you're right with he's inside the mouth and you're like, oh, wow. Like maybe he's going to get out. Maybe there's something good here. But then he just kind of like, I guess gets crushed. And that's the end of him. I was like, oh, maybe there's something there. And You're very much right about that. I didn't think about that, but a found footage film would have worked way better because they're all about getting the shot. But
Shark
in the
Week
beginning,
didn't start till 5 years later.
yeah, so it's very interesting. I guess this would have been like revolutionary because to them, great whites never existed in that area. Maybe like growing up in Massachusetts, Charlie and I can attest that great whites are all over Cape Cod for one. And now they're not just in South Africa. They're always like Cape Cod's another great place. So it's just interesting that that's the route that they chose was like, this is going to change our life. At SeaWorld of all places. It's like, is it though? SeaWorld?
Well, even in Florida, yeah, you're right. Because me growing up, I was always told our waters are too warm for great whites, and like you don't have to worry about that. And it was funny because when Josh and I went to South Africa to see the great whites, was around the time that they'd like tagged Catherine, and it was also I didn't know at the time that New Smyrna was the shark bite capital of the world, which is funny because actually I'm drinking.
Well, now it's probably what, like Panama City with all the sharks that they have out there right now.
I think they might have had a couple this year in New Smyrna, but this was the run they do for the shark bite, half of New Smyrna.
That's cool.
But yeah, we should look into that. That would be an interesting episode. And I'm looking forward to Shark Week, and I wonder if they're going to do specials on that. And I'm wondering why there's so many shark attacks going on in the Gulf right now. I wonder if it's related to red
hundreds
tide
of sharks
and the lack of food and whatnot. Like it's got to be something we're fucking up. But I think the only thing good that happened in this movie was when the little shits that were trying to steal the coral got eaten. But nobody ever saw their bodies. Nobody even cared about them.
They were such a footnote in the movie.
They were. Yeah, I guess cannon fodder, but that was my favorite part. It was like in Sharknado when the people who were they whaling or something, and then they are the first ones.
Yeah. Charlie, what do you got for this one?
Also, like, what the hell was the point of having that scene in the movie? That is nothing.
Yeah,
nothing.
They never brought it up
no
again.
impact. Nobody knew they were dead. They never found. Well, one of their heads wasn't it one of their heads.
No, that was the first guy. That was the guy they knew.
Oh, so it wasn't even their head. Yeah, so you're right.
Oh, maybe it was because they did find the body of the other guy. So maybe it was.
They found the body
and
then one of the heads. That wasn't them.
No, that was the first guy who died. Who's fixing the fence at the beginning. So,
but didn't they have, then who was the guy that they found the whole body with like the crab? They didn't even bother to take the crab off his head.
No, that was the guy. That was the guy from the beginning. So,
so whose head was floating?
There was both. It was both of them. It was just, they were the same guy. Basically. Sorry.
That's crazy.
Sorry. It was,
so they
could
have had it be the coral reefer guy.
They could have had something else, but also, like, what was the point of having that in there? It was so dumb. I'm like, this has nothing to do with the plot of the movie. Like, why are we even doing this? All it just proves is that the Jaws franchise, which started off being like this amazing, I mean, one of the most important movies in like cinema history, invented the blockbuster to basically becoming a B horror movie. I mean, Jason 3D. Or Friday the 13th 3D did it first. So like, and this is ripping off shots literally from that movie. It's just dude, all right, let's introduce some more teens so that Jason can kill them. Same thing with this. It's like, let's get some bodies for the sharks to kill. Let's get some coral reef robbers. There we go. Like,
but the shark kills aren't even good. The shark
knowledge.
Kills. Yeah, but like the shark kills aren't even quality because we get the two guys go in the coral. It's dark. You don't actually see them really die. There's no blood in the water like we see with the first Jaws, right? And then you have all the trapeze artists or whatever they are on the
skiers. They're world famous skiers.
Yes, they're the skiers. Sorry. And so we get that whole sequence, but like nothing happens. Like the shark knocks like.
And they didn't even jump the shark. That would have been a perfect time to jump the shark.
Exactly.
I was thinking that too. I'm like, why don't we have a Fonzie moment right here? Come on.
They don't even do anything interesting there. Like you barely see any blood in the water or anybody getting dragged around. Like Leah Thompson's the closest thing you get to it, where she gets like a nick, but then they carry her out of the water and she's not even cut anywhere. But also like Leah Thompson kind of is a shitty.
Oh, she was terrible actress.
It's not even a terrible actress. The fact that the younger Brody brother has a fear of water. And she's all about like, well, come on in the water. Oh, stop being that.
She doesn't know why. To her, she even said it's a childhood fear. So I don't blame her for that. She doesn't know that he like was almost eaten by a killer great white.
He could have said something too, but still.
You don't say that on a first date. Oh well, let me.
Why not?
My trauma for
you.
Hey,
guess what? I don't go in the water because I was almost eaten by a shark when I was a kid. Boom.
She doesn't. Plus, they're in the lagoon. She's thinking they're safe and like that it's all blocked off.
But again,
because it is a lake. at SeaWorld. There's no sharks in there. There's not
I
even
mean,
bull
yeah,
sharks in there. It is a
the
lake.
mom shark is hiding in the tube basically the whole time. And then can we talk
This
about how like easy
35-foot shark is hiding in the tube.
Can we talk about how easy the glass breaks? Like she bumps her nose against the glass very brightly and it breaks so easily. It's just like they really
and she
half-assed the
swims
sharks.
backwards.
She does.
backwards.
She swims backwards and breaks open the gate.
See, Richard Dreyfuss was a great marine biologist. I feel like they actually put the knowledge they had of sharks into that movie. Maybe because they were more honoring the book and the fact that they had those two people that took the actual footage of the sharks that seemed to like give a shit. Like this was just all fiction.
Tough. It was tough. Charlie, what else you got over there? I know you got more on your mind.
Oh God, of course I've got more on my mind.
We haven't even
movie.
talked about that she kisses her boyfriend's brother on the lips.
Oh, dude, when they first no, that bothered me too. Real quick, Dennis Quaid and old girl, they're walking out, and she's, oh hey, nice to see you again, and they kiss on the lips. I was like, wait a second, what? Pause. Hold up. You're not like if Carrie kissed my brother on the lips, I'd be like, first of all, what the fuck? What are we doing?
God. I can't even fathom if I kiss one of Josh's brothers on the lips. That would
like,
not go over
what would
well.
Steph do? Like, I know Steph and I know your brothers. Like, would like what? That doesn't. What the fuck?
No, that's crazy. It's crazy.
Exactly.
Crazy talk. Same thing with her sisters. Crazy talk.
Yeah, like I would never kiss any of her sisters. Be like, hey,
we
nice
should
to
all
see you
just start doing that. Let's normalize just making out with people next.
We're normalizing kissing the brother and sister-in-laws on the lips. I don't know, but Charlie, what is
well, you know, this was a preamble. Obviously, there's a connection now between this and Back to the Future, where you know she almost kisses.
She almost fucks her son right there.
Yeah, there you go.
But that was Leah Thompson. She didn't. Okay. Oh, and come on. Okay, if you're making out with a really hot girl in the water and then your brother comes over, are you going to tackle him right after making out with this girl?
Okay, but the problem that bothered me the most is the fact that he dove at him, and Dennis Quaid gets in the water in loafers and khakis, and then his brother dives at him and gets sand all over him. There's so much.
But Josh just yells like, "What a cock block!" And then I'm thinking like,
right?
This guy was. I mean, like if you're going from making out with a girl, you're not going to go straight to tackling your brother. Like you need a minute.
Maybe the water was cold. I don't know.
Yeah, I was just about to say maybe it was cold water. You know?
It was chilly in Florida at the time. I
guess you guys would know better than me.
So, fun fact about the glass breaking. That was actually the inspiration that Stone Cold Steve Austin used for when he did.
See, I knew it. I thought I heard the entrance music when she broke the glass, and then all of a sudden, after she was trying to attack everybody. First of all, my poor dude, who was the most helpful dude in the whole movie, as far as getting what's her name in the tunnel out and getting them both out of the little tunnel after they're attacked by the shark. He gets eaten in such a half-hearted way. Come on, man.
Oh yeah.
Poor guy.
I do have some SeaWorld fun facts, and then we can talk more shit. I forgot I had SeaWorld fun facts.
Okay, here's your SeaWorld fun facts. And I know Charlie's got a lot more on his mind, so I gotta hear what we got before we finish ripping this movie apart.
I'm not gonna lie, some of these facts are not fun. So SeaWorld actually opened 10 years before this. And I did mention it's nowhere near the beach. It's 6.5 hours from the Pensacola beach where they shot the beach scenes. I wish they had actually let dolphins into the lagoon at SeaWorld. That would actually be really cool.
Yeah,
I agree. You guys can continue. I got to get some. Hold on 1 second.
So obviously it's in a lake, so they're not letting the dolphins into the lake, but that would actually be really cool. Like she even says like the dolphins need exercise, let them in the lagoon. Like what a cool concept that would be if you did have that kind of situation, especially if these were like dolphins that can't be re-released into the wild. Anyway, so ever since Tilikum killed Dawn, the trainers are no longer actually allowed in the water with the orcas. You do see the actress get into the water. You go to SeaWorld now, that has not happened in well over 10 years. Tilikum was actually captured the year this movie came out. To put it into perspective, how long he was in captivity. He died in 2017 after 20 years at SeaWorld. He was only 2 years old when he was captured. This was not the OG Shamu, as that one had already passed by the time this film came out, but you know they would always have.
This is the one they rode in. What was that movie? Free Willy? Are you sure?
Oh, Free Willy was Kiko, I believe. Kiko.
Oh, was it? I thought it was Shamu. That's crazy.
No, that was
whole life is a lie.
Different. That orca, they actually did get over to the Iceland like rehabilitation center, but they used to always find that orca near boats. And when that orca actually passed, that orca's buried, I think in Norway or Iceland or some kind of Scandinavian country, because it didn't have a pod. Like killer whales are very, family, social, animals.
Yeah.
They're almost like wolves like that, right? Where it's like you have a pack or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, they're fucking cold-hearted killers too. Have you ever seen the video of them drowning a baby gray whale? Oh my god, it's terrible.
Well, we're gonna see them probably in the that little
I hope so.
Strait of Gibraltar, actually, when we go to Europe.
We lost a day at a country or we lost a
because
port
of
day.
the fucking whales. We lost the whole port day
in
Valencia.
If we see a killer whale, I've never seen a killer whale in the wild other than far, 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 far away, and I barely remember it.
Was it the galaxy?
That will make it worth it. Was it what?
A galaxy?
In a galaxy far, far away?
Yeah.
I mean, it was in St. Augustine. That's pretty far away.
Okay.
So this orca is actually really sad. I'm going to bring it down again. So the orca that was playing Shamu in this movie was called Kotor, and he was captured off the coast of Iceland.
Okay.
In 1978, when he was about a year old. He might have been the youngest orca to ever survive capture. He was sent to SeaWorld San Diego, later sent to Orlando in the 80s. He actually died in 95 into the San Antonio SeaWorld when a pool gate fell on his head, breaking his skull.
Well, that's because the sharks got out from the pool gate, obviously.
So SeaWorld is now, if you go to SeaWorld today, I actually found a video that was showing the look, because I wanted to verify that the pool the little shark was in was the stingray. Like, I wanted to make sure before I started saying things. SeaWorld now is mostly roller coasters. They're pulling away, especially after Don passed away.
And they own Busch Gardens.
Well, yeah, they always have. That's how you get the beer. You can get a flamingo boat now, where the bumper boats were, so you can still go out on that lake. It is not connected to the.
I'm not going to get pushed in the ocean by a shark, right? Or the lake or whatever. I
can't promise anything. I don't know. So while the Undersea Kingdom is not real, there is a tunnel through the aquarium, and there is a restaurant in there, and that's where they shot those scenes. That was actually the restaurant, and there is a bar that is above the aquarium. And I know I've mentioned this before, and I need to find the picture. My mom was talking to somebody at SeaWorld a few years ago, and they let us just impromptu have like a behind the scenes tour of the aquarium where we got to walk above it. And she goes, this was the sign that you can see Dennis Quaid like with him in the background. And I don't know where the hell that picture is. I need to find it. Those are my SeaWorld fun facts.
Charlie, you've been dying.
Right.
What else you got for us?
All right. I will just say, like, if I'm going to rip anybody to shreds, it's James A. Cont. All right. You know who that is? James A. Contner. No.
Sorry.
So he is the DOP, director of photography.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The man should be banned from the job. I know that you have to film it in 3D and everything, but the fact that everything is out of focus in this movie is driving me up a wall. Like, I can't watch even the littlest bit of it and be like, it's all out of focus. Everything. What is wrong? Even the shots that aren't 3D. I'm like, oh my God, dude. This guy is... well, first off, this also bears most of the responsibilities Joe Avelez or Alves, right?
Yeah.
Who's the director. So considering the fact that this is his one and only movie, shocker right there. But I guess he did some stuff where he was like set designer and all of that for the rest of his
worked
career.
on the first Jaws movie, actually. Yeah.
And I almost feel bad. Like, I almost feel bad. I know this
is what he took away from the first Jaws movie. So clearly he learned a lot. Yeah.
Well, Jaws is almost like titled as like the luckiest accident ever in Hollywood because the production was an absolute fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
So like they definitely got lucky on it a little bit. Obviously you've got Steven Spielberg, and let's be real, I think after that you kind of proved that it's not just luck, it's a lot of his talent too. So I mean, it was shameful. It was absolutely shameful that you guys put this out there. It's like, you can't even have that. Like, that's just the littlest thing to me too. It's like, hey, have a clear picture for us to look at. Like, just something for us to take in. Like, that makes the most sense. One of the things that I did like the scene though, where they find the guy's body kind of pops up and you see that, but it was kind of like, I don't know, a little ripped off from the first one, right? Like when the guy's head pops out on the boat, like when they get that scare.
Yeah. That was scary. There wasn't a single jump scare. I felt like that's like in Jaws 2, there was that one jump scare that like in the boat or whatever with the body that
with the explosion.
Like, no, I don't remember what it was.
I
know
we
talked
about
last
with the
year,
grenades was so bad.
There was something in 2 that actually jump scared me. There wasn't a single moment in this where I was like, what's going to happen? And oh my God, I didn't have any of that. I can't think of nobody did good making this movie.
No, nobody did a good job at all. They, when I said they ripped off some stuff from Friday the 13th Part 3, the spear gun shot. Literally, the spear gun shot is like ripped off from that movie. So there's a shot in Friday the 13th, Part 3, where Jason has a spear gun and he shoots it right at the camera. Same thing with Dennis Quaid, where he's shooting the spear gun right at the camera and just like, oh, this 3D trick, the spear's coming right at us. Like, cool, guys. Like, all right, like, way to think of something else. And other than that, it's like, what is it adding to the movie?
They barely
Nothing
do
at
any
all.
3D things except for the one big moment with the shark is swimming so clearly over the whole the underground tunnel, and it's so like pasted in, and it breaks through the glass, or at the very end with the grenade in the jaw and everything, it like pops up. It's so bad. It is so bad.
It made me like Harold and Kumar more because they were aware they were making a 3D movie, and they like intentionally made it cheesy, and I feel like it was a nod to movies like this.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely, because those early 80s movies where like we were going through this boom of this 3D sort of thing, where they just did these cheesy things throughout the movie that really had nothing to do with it and weren't important to it. Like, now we have the technology to actually make it a part of the scene, and like, even though you can say it's still gimmicky, and it still kind of is, like, at least
I'm so glad we got rid of 3D movies though. There was a whole period where we were obsessed again.
I mean, the 3D TVs, but you could only watch for 45 minutes.
They did.
Yeah, I mean, but I will say, like, when you have somebody like who's a master craftsman, like a James Cameron who's doing it, and you goat it, you see what the experience is. Because, like, Avatar, whatever you got to say story-wise, it's a fucking masterpiece as far as what it looks like, too. Like, nobody can really match that for what he does. And that's just James Cameron, though. Like, it's the guy's always sort of on the cutting edge. He's on the cutting edge of all like those technical things more than anybody. So
right.
But like, some of this stuff was just ridiculous. How about when he punches the guy when they're trying to get people out of the water?
Oh my God, he does. Oh, Dennis Quaid. Oh,
that guy reminded me of, you know, in Lilo and Stitch, where there's that bigger dude that's always on the beach and his ice cream's always falling or something.
Yeah,
that's what that guy reminded me of. Like, he like lost his food or whatever, and they just start. I don't know that there was ever a time you were allowed in the water at SeaWorld. I don't know. Maybe that was the thing.
They just have like a beach there too.
Why would you pay to go to a theme park to be on the I mean, I did spend $60 to go to Typhoon Lagoon last week, but
yeah, see, you're the problem.
That was so the kids could run around and they were playing on the slides, and Eric and I were drinking on the beach. But I didn't. I don't know. But the 3D thing, I feel like, how James Cameron does it, it's to get you lost in the movie. Whereas I felt like every time it was very obvious it was 3D, and it took you out of the movie.
This movie's so obvious. It takes you out so bad, dude.
It's so bad. Every time it takes you out.
It wanted to be, I think the problem is, though, it wanted to be serious. It wasn't trying to be campy. I don't think it was trying to be cheesy. I think it was trying to be
Jaws tried. 3. It just failed. Like I think they legitimately tried with this movie. It just, the studio, right? When you get ham-fisted by the studio, like, it has to be this, it has to be that, it has to do this. And so like you have to shoehorn these shots in.
Right.
You can't get that epic killing of the shark. You can't get that shot like we did in Jaws 1, you know?
So I will say the killing of the shark, I thought they were going to go, because they were like, oh, they're in the Jonah and the whale section, which I thought that was odd that they would have that, because
I thought my dude was somehow going to be alive and blow him from the inside out.
And he was Jonah.
That's what I thought. Yes.
I did too. I did not remember that part, but the whole Jonah and the whale, that being like a Bible story, and you're at SeaWorld. I don't remember SeaWorld ever having any Bible stories. So I thought that was.
You remember a very different SeaWorld in this movie then. Maybe you should have done some cocaine as a kid.
I should have.
It's a hell of a drug. Of course, I don't remember putting that grenade in that shark's mouth.
We just do Adderall instead.
You're right. We just do Adderall on this podcast instead. Legally, of course.
Oh my God.
I just drink a lot of beer.
But I still had fun. I didn't quite have as much fun.
I had fun
as
making
other movies, but like, it's fun. I love B movies for this reason, right? They're so bad.
Okay.
So bad.
But when a movie takes place in an area you're very familiar with, and I've seen you, and they fuck it up.
They do.
That just takes you out of the whole movie, because I'm like, I've been there, I've seen that, I know where that is. That is not there. That is not accurate. That
any
is not
movie
correct.
Shot in Boston, Massachusetts, or whatever. Is
right. And like SeaWorld is very different now than it was in the 80s, but there are still, that big stadium still there. That lake is still there.
Everybody's
the ocean
clapping,
is still
obviously,
not
right up
there.
against the lake as the sharks coming aboard to do nothing.
I did notice at one point, I'm like, well, they have a lot of very good looking people going to SeaWorld. That is not the case anymore.
It's
you mean Central Florida isn't like tons of good looking people?
I mean, there's some.
I'm just very shocked. Shocked, I tell you.
There's a lot of scooters these days.
Yeah. All right. So as we start to wrap up.
I did like the little Shamu strollers. I remember that when I was
do remember. Yeah, when they're trying to navigate
have those
through
anymore. Yeah, I don't think they do. Yeah, those are so cute.
Matt, before you wrap up, one thing I forgot to mention. I got another fun fact. So this film, it held the record for the best opening weekend for a 3D movie for 20 years until it was dethroned by this film. 20 years. So 1983 to 2003.
What came out in 2003 that was 3D?
I don't know if you guys are going to guess it. It's very random.
Not Harold and Kumar.
Is it like My Bloody Valentine 3D?
No.
Dean Winchester. Wait, no, I don't want you to tell us yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to know. Just tell us.
Spy Kids 3D.
That makes a lot of sense. Wow.
Yeah, Robert Rodriguez doing it better.
Wow, dude, that's insane.
Was that old? Honestly, I thought
I did because the main kid's married to Meghan Trainor. They have got. Kids
I was gonna say it was like 21 years ago. Spy Kids 3D can drink now legally.
Yeah. Oh God.
But Spy Kids, I remember my daughter watching Spy Kids, so I thought it came out.
Your daughter's also 20 years old, Lauren. So.
Right, but the movie came out in 2003. She can't drink yet. She can't drink till October.
Anyways, I want to hear, as we wrap up, we got to give this out of 5 sharks. I'm going 5 sharks tonight. Lauren, we'll start with you. How many sharks out of 5 do you give this illustrious film?
I'm gonna give it -5 sharks. This is the worst movie ever. The film, the play,
you got to give something.
Biology.
Give me something here.
I'll give you a 0.25.
There, okay. I guess you got to be weird and do that. All right, Charlie. Out of 5 sharks.
What's the lowest I can accept?
I don't know.
I don't know. It was really bad.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible, but like I like bathe in its terribleness sometimes.
See, thank you. I do too.
I just do. I bathe in the blood of that shark that died at the end, and also. Another nitpick. What's her name? Should have lost her leg. Leah Thompson's character Kelly should have lost her leg. It was just a scratch. No, you can see
she had a scratch. She had a flesh wound.
Yeah, it is but a flesh wound.
It was a flesh wound.
Like literally. Anyways, yeah, it's I'm gonna give it a 1 star, which is the amount of legs that Kelly should have had in this movie.
That was way more clever than I did. I like it.
I'm going to go ahead and give it a 1.5 just because I got comedic value out of this. Just so we're clear, this gives us a 0.916, which if we round up, it's a 1 star. It's a 1 out of 5 sharks. It's not good. It's not quality. This movie's bad, but
don't watch this. Go watch Shark Week.
Yeah, go watch Shark Week. Shark Week's out. So Charlie, why don't you tell us where people can find you at and Real Buffs, man? Because we're doing some killer things there too.
Yeah, actually, I just dropped our episode on The Lion King today, so go check that out. Go check that out anywhere where you can find your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Google Play, everything. If you want to interact with us on socials, I'm at The Real Buffs on Instagram. That's usually where we do most of our stuff. You can also connect with me on my personal one, Sir_Charles_Mac.
So official.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a knight, so
that's true.
Gotta throw that out there. So
I'm like, wait, you went to UCF?
No, stupid.
I don't even know what that. Oh, UCF. There you go. So
just wait, not until next week or the week after when I play them on NCAA football and take them to prominence.
No, I was a Minuteman in more than one way.
Yes. I'm sorry, Steph. Anyways.
And you got married last year. Oh, man.
You did.
And now she's pregnant. There you go.
She is. Jaws 3, everybody.
You. I just followed you.
Jaws 3 will get you pregnant, maybe. But
Jaws 3 can't deliver anything. It's not knocking anyone up.
Can't. Charlie and I do a lot of good stuff.
Although it did get through the gate. That's true, though. It got through the gate.
It did. Make sure, though, you follow Real Buffs. Check out what we're doing over there. We're dropping Forrest Gump soon. We're going to talk Twister soon. We just did an episode on True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then for Lauren and I, make sure Hopsgeeknews, you already know. Last reminder, we are going to be on our cruise. So everything is pre-recorded. We have no more news, things like that. Make sure you follow our YouTube. We have 2 episodes a piece dropping per week up until the second week of August. So check out our creative interviews, check out our Cantina hours, which we're about to go and hop on and do right now. And then obviously when we get back from vacation, we're going to have to talk about the Boys finale. We're going to have to talk about the Acolyte finale.
God,
we got so many finales to be discussing.
I don't know if I can wait that long. We're going to have to record something on the Mickey boat about the Boys.
Actually, Don't tempt me with a good time. Well,
I don't even know if we're going to be able to watch it.
We will. I guarantee you. I have T-Mobile. Through T-Mobile, there is a way.
You have T-Mobile. I don't know what kind of. Do you have like Jaws 3D T-Mobile?
I just assumed it worked everywhere. Anyways, follow us. We will see you guys soon. Charlie, thanks, man. As always, love seeing your face.
We'll see you for Jaws 4, right?
Charlie will be back. Hopefully, we get him on for a better movie.
I was going to say,
Jaws
mute him.
4,
His silence is acceptance.
I will be on for that. I can commit myself to that now. But I'm going to throw this out there. Next year is the 50th anniversary of Jaws. So
we're doing it big.
I'm already just going to tell you this right now. I haven't done my Real Buff schedule yet, but there's definitely, we're going to probably do like a big month of that, because to me, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. And it's just, we're going to probably do a whole month of Jaws next July. So
I love that. That's amazing. Yes.
Yeah.
As it should. It's a 4th of July movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely, it is. I'll be watching it tomorrow.
It's on my list for Cantina Hour to talk.
It is. We are gonna hop on there. We'll catch you guys next time. Cheers.
The content you are listening to is part of the Nerd Initiative Podcast Network. For more info about the home of pop culture positivity, check out nerdinitiative.com. The content you are listening to is part of the Nerd Initiative Podcast Network. For more info about the home of pop culture positivity, be sure to check out nerdinitiative.com.